Welcome, everyone. We're here with Dr. Christopher Taylor, about to have a very interesting talk about his background and what brought him to Waterloo and what he's looking to do with this platform at the school. So, Doc, if you want to take a minute to introduce yourself, a little bit about your background, your upbringing, things like that.
Yeah, so my name Christopher Stewart Taylor. I got to give all three names very important. Names very important. My middle name is my mother's maiden name, Stewart, and so naming is very important in our family. So before I got to Waterloo, I was in the provincial government, Ontario government. Geez, man, I started in the Ministry of Labor. From there, I moved into the Ministry of the Attorney General. I did work as a diversity coordinator. Then I shifted into the Indigenous Justice Division. From there, I moved into the Anti-Racism Directorate. I was a senior policy advisor in there. I was we call the architect of what we call ARCC, the Anti-Racism Competency and Capacity Building Program. Did that for a little bit. Then I shifted into corrections. And in corrections, I was a manager, what we called the Social Justice Cluster in Change. And meanwhile, that whole time, I was still trying to publish. Well, published, I got my book done and I was still teaching. I would be working downtown Toronto. Then I'd drive to London and teach at Western in the evening and still teach. And then I got the opportunity to, jump ship to Waterloo. And here I am. So, I mean, that's a bit of my professional, I guess you say my professional background. This is oddly enough, Black Don't Crack, but this is my second career being in this space. But I generally enjoy being at Waterloo, really do.
That's amazing. Have a very decorated background. I can imagine what your future holds and everything you got going on. I appreciate all your work and your effort to help support the Black community and educate the masses. Tell me more about your background from a family standpoint.
So my family is from Barbados, and that's actually really key. And I tell folks, I'm privileged, and I know we people really get that term a little off on that, but I'm definitely privileged. My family were educators. My mother and father both educators.
Hmm.
Interestingly enough, and some folks would be like, "Ah, this had it suck," but my father, you know, he was a teacher in my high school. So
Mm.
I was one of them, we couldn't mess around in school type of thing. And for them, always instill in my sister and I the values in education. So education has always been a push. And actually, my father died suddenly right in the middle of my PhD. And I
I hear that.
completely shifted. Yeah, thanks, man. And it completely shifted the topic that I was doing. So my book, if you ever have a chance to check out my book is centered around his life and his journey of, someone who, and again, what education is so important, someone who at the time couldn't afford to finish school. So my father
Hmm.
never finished school, couldn't afford it. So a lot of people don't understand. And, if you're West Indian and a lot of places like in states too, it costs money to go to school.
Hmm.
And seeing his journey from going to that space and then going to the UK through the Windrush generation. So, the folks who migrated after the Second World War, he was there at London Transport. He used to talk about the racism that he used to face, working on the buses in London, moving from there, then coming to Canada. So for us and me in particular, school has always been this important thing that we never took for granted and really seeing, my father and my mother's trajectory. So, family is, number one for me. Everybody's like, yeah, you do this anti-racism thing, confronting anti-black racism, but it all stems from, seeing the foundation on how far my parents came literally from abject poverty, like no electricity, no running water. Where I am now, I'm sitting here in a pandemic having this conversation. I'm blessed, right? I'm blessed.
Sure.
So always given that opportunity to, share it with other folks.
And we appreciate you sharing. Having both parents as educators, do you feel like you were destined to be an educator? Sometimes you raise in a household and they're forcing things on you, you want to go in a totally different direction. Do you feel like that was part of your destiny because of that?
Coach Da, I tried to sprint away from it far, man. I tried. I'll be completely honest with you. I tried. It was, this prof thing was never something, front of mind. I actually got into law school, cutting at an undergrad degree. Like that was my whole plan. I got in McGill. I was gonna go. And I was like, man, I'm too young to do that. And I said, all right, let me just try this master's thing.
Hmm.
And then master turned into PhD, and lo and behold, X years later, here I am. So, I mean, in a roundabout way, yeah, I think this was a space I should be in. Did I
Hmm.
want to be in it? Nope. I'll tell you now, this was not something that I said, hey, I'm going to be a prof. But it turned out really, really well for me. Can't complain at all.
I hear that. You come highly recommended by several of my players on the football team
Appreciate it.
with somebody that they wanted to spotlight for sure. How does it
Appreciate
make
it.
you feel being able to be recognized by some of your students and student athletes?
It feels weird, not in a like, oh, that's who am I type of thing, but I don't feel that old. No, I'm keeping it real. So I still look up to people, right?
Mhm.
I'm still, I ran varsity track when I was at U of T. So I still in that mindset that I'm not quote unquote complete yet. I don't see myself as that mentor or somebody to look up to. I still see myself growing. So when people are looking to me, I'm just like, wow, because I'm looking to other people and how they're going to get somewhere. So when I hear that, I'm flattered, and I don't take it for granted because I still remember, being that, those varsity athletes and being that athlete on campus. And it's like, bro, this is it type of thing, right? And so
Yeah.
whenever I have the opportunity to help people out, I'll do it anytime.
I can understand that sentiment of not feeling old. As a recruiting coordinator, I'm constantly reflecting on my time at university. I look back like, man, that was 16 years ago. So I understand totally how you feel about
Exactly.
that. And it's important to be able to have mentors and still learn regardless of how old you are. So glad you said that. Obviously have a very decorated past and well traveled. What made you stop here at Waterloo? Obviously, it looks like to me it's a pit stop on your main journey. But what made you stop here and focus in on University of Waterloo?
Well, that's actually a really good question. Really, really good question. Yeah, I guess you can say it is a pit stop. One of the big things for family reasons, I wanted to stay close to the GTA, be in that 401 corridor.
Hmm.
And, I think Coach DA, I think we're, on the same wavelength. Family is really, really important. So, for a variety of reasons, I wanted to be close. But at the same time, like the program that I came here for, the Arts First program, it's really just working with first years and being that bridge for them, for many of them from high school to university. And so it gave me an opportunity to really connect with students.
Hmm.
I'm not in the 400 first year course with all these students, coming around. Is I actually get to learn students and, really build relationships with students because I always see it. These are things that I never had an opportunity in my undergrad. So whether they're black, white, or purple, it doesn't matter to me. It's like, how are we going to help you be somebody beyond university?
For sure. It's very important as a prof to educate beyond the
Yeah.
textbooks. And it's great to
Yeah.
have that relationship. And can you remind everyone what faculty you're in and what classes that
Oh,
you
my bad.
specialize?
Sorry.
Oh, okay. We're just rolling.
So, I'm in the Department of History, so that's my home department, but also I'm in the Arts First program. So it's a first year program that every art student has to take. So they have to take either Arts 130 or Arts 140, and they're all different sections. So I typically teach a Arts 130 course called Taking Black History, and I teach an Arts 140 course, which is called Race, Gender, Migration. But
Mhm.
last September, this September, I shifted the course completely because of everything that happened over the summer. And the course was how to be an anti-racist and confront anti-black racism. So I completely shifted it for an online audience because it's online. And again, really, like I know people want to read textbooks and stuff, but my whole thing is you want to learn something, just pick up a book and read it. How do we really engage with people, what's happening and going on in the world? That's what I'm really about.
I hear that for sure. Something I definitely would take if I had the opportunity. How do you feel these classes are being received by the students because they're mandatory?
Well, I had a student walk out one time in person. Literally, I never forget, never saw her again. So, I mean, for a lot of them, because it's mandatory, they don't want to take it. And that's the thing. The first thing I do, in person class, I ask them, why did you take this course?
Hmm.
And I would say maybe about 75% say, well, it fit my schedule and I take it. And so right off the bat, you're being in that space where people don't really want to be there. So the first challenge isn't necessarily teaching the content. One of the first challenges for a lot of them, they've never had a black teacher or prof ever. So for them, it's like, I got to listen to a black guy. Like, what's going on? Type of thing. So it's building that trust that we're able to have those conversations. So it takes, a few weeks to get into it. And for me, I like that challenge because, I could preach to the choir all day. Like people who get it, people who understand it, but it's the ones that don't want to learn. Now they're in my class. I'm like, good, I got you. Gotcha. We're gonna do this. And for a lot of them, when they leave, it's like, I didn't expect this. And I'm like, yeah, you didn't. Right.
Right, right. And that was going to be my next question. Like in the aftermath, have you had students that were kind of a little standoffish at the beginning, come around at the end and say, Doc, I really appreciate it. I learned so much. I'm a better person. Have you had those experiences?
Look, I'm not gonna name names, but I have one student and who's one of their parents is a police officer,
Hmm.
and we had battles in class, right? And long story short, she's now taken multiple classes that I've done. And that's what I explained to them. I'm like, look, I'm not here against you. I'm here to challenge. I'm here to think critically. And I'm not anti police. I'm not anti white. I'm not anti anything. Right. I'm just like, hey, let's talk about it. Right. And so for those students who come back, I'm like, something happened. Well,
Yes,
so,
yes.
but not all of them. And that's cool. You're not going to win everyone. Right. It's all good.
Sure. I feel the same way. When we co-founded the alliance, we said if we can just influence one person to reflect and make a change, we did our job. And we're now to proudly announce 26 members of the group and steady
No, it's
growing
great.
and opening offers for membership as well. So I understand. I can appreciate that, knowing that you did something to help affect at least one person in that class. You know, I could ask so many different questions, but I know
Hey, man, go for it. I'm here, man. Ask anything. Just don't ask me. Don't. Well, no, you can ask anything. Who cares, man?
we're
Ask whatever.
we're doing this celebration of Black excellence at Waterloo, and you know, want to ask you flat out, like, what does Black History Month mean to you?
I have a love hate relationship. We're recording this on February 3rd, and I'm already tired of Black History Month. So I have a love hate relationship because my whole thing is I celebrate Blackness in January and March, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, having a month is a space where we just want to try to hold everything there. And when, February 29th or February 28th rolls around, we don't need to care about Black people anymore. And that's the issue that I have is that it's good that we have a dedicated month that people, are putting some focus on it. But in reality, we should get to a point where this is just having regular conversations about excellence, not just Black excellence. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm a pretty good prof. I think I'm a pretty good prof, whether I'm Black, white, or purple. You know what I mean? And so I really want to get to that point where, not to say my Blackness, because I'm unapologetically Black. I'll never take away my Blackness. I'm Black, full stop. But at the same time, too, it's like, hey, let's just have a conversation about something, like anything. So, yeah, I have a love hate relationship, man. Straight up, love hate
Totally
relationship.
understandable.
Yeah,
And the
man.
more I learn about, racism and anti-blackness and everything that's going on in the world, and I wake myself up, I can understand and appreciate that love hate because I'm learning that anything that is in Black history falls outside the norm, and that shouldn't be the way it is, right? So
Exactly.
as we continue to learn and communicate and listen, not just hear, we got to be able to listen and understand and appreciate.
Thank you.
We'll be able to make the changes that are significant. So
100%.
definitely totally understand that mindset. Being a Black prof on campus at University of Waterloo, one of few, how can we increase Black representation from a prof standpoint?
Man, I call this the low hanging fruit. Just hire them. We're out here. We're out here. You know what I mean? We're out
Mhm.
here. And I mean, I can rattle off 10 Black profs right now. And another thing that we got to recognize too, like, oh, they're not in Canada. Because a lot of us Black profs never had these opportunities. So we went to the States.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And it's such a low hanging fruit to just hire us, man. Like even on the BFC, the amount of like contract lecturers that we have on the BSC, sessional lecturers, all qualified, all have all the requirements, hit all the merit functions that we need. Just hire us. And I mean, as you know, Coach DA, representation matters. And you're gonna once you have those folks there, you're gonna be pulling in more talent. You're gonna be pulling in other students. And the biggest thing that I get email from folks, asking me, or do you teach this grad program? Or are you part of the TriU graduate program, Waterloo, Laurier, and Guelph? But I can't teach graduate students because I'm a contract lecturer.
Mhm.
And so if you think about this, if you're really starting to pull in and you want to pull in those grad students who are going to pull in the grants and everything, like we got to really think about who are we trying to limit and exclude. And at the end of the day, like Waterloo is like 45 minutes, an hour from the GTA, which has the largest Black population in Canada. A couple hours, 2.5 hours from Detroit. You know what I mean? Like we have all the geographical proximity to
Mhm.
make this a much more diverse
And the prestige
represent.
academically.
Exactly. And the prestige, like, yo, MIT of the North, like
Mhm.
it's the prestige is there. People want to come here. So yeah, I mean, we gotta just make a concerted effort to just look. We have the Black folks here, just hire them, man. Full stop.
Seems like there's an unnecessary barrier that's been put up.
Yeah.
I know what that deep breath means. So
Yeah.
we'll swerve a little bit and kind
Yeah.
of circle back to a little bit more about the personal side of Chris. So you mentioned
Yeah, man.
running track in high school. Talk about how your experiences in sports kind of help either motivate you or keep you kind of on that path because of all the things that you can accomplish with sports.
Bro, man, sport, like, and this is probably the same for a lot of, folks in high school. School was school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, school, whatever, but it was sport for me. So by the time I was 13, I was at York. So anybody in the GTA, I was at York. I was training with Olympians, Foy Williams. I mean, like all these folks there, Damian
Careful not
Moore,
to date
like,
yourself now. The more
no,
names you drop, people
I
start
was about to
Googling and
name a name.
realizing how old you are. You better watch
I
out.
was, I was about to name a name, right? And I was like, no, I'm not gonna name it because y'all know how old I am. So like, all those folks, like I was in that space, training with Olympians, training partners and whatnot. And so for me, it was always like, cool, you know what? D1, because everybody's getting D1 scholarships. You want the SEC, D1 scholarship and track. That's where you got to go. You know what I mean? Um, Tore my hamstring and never got back into that.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people I'm on a decades long comeback. I was like, I'm coming back. I'm coming back. But the thing that I tell students, like student athletes, I'm like, look, the same discipline that you apply to practice and training is the exact same discipline I used to get my PhD.
Mm-hmm.
The same structure, the same attitude, the same push that I did to, go to practice, go train. Exact same thing I did, in doing my PhD. So I always see like those skills that you develop in sport, not just like high level sport, as you know, Coach DA. There's sport and then there's high level sport. You hit another level sport being a pro athlete. So like that top of top. There's a certain attitude and mentality you have to have. And I apply the exact same thing in my academics and in this field. Like I don't want to say it's a take no prisoners type of vibe, but it's relentless. And if you know me, I'm relentless. I was gonna curse. I'm gonna get stuff done. I'm gonna get
For
stuff
sure.
done.
And
Yeah.
that's how you got to be in life, especially when you have to deal with the same barriers and obstacles that like we do. You have to be able to keep pushing forward and take no for an answer. So don't take no for an answer. Be able to overcome and keep working towards your goal and not getting discouraged when you get setbacks, things like that. So that's great that you talked about a message to the students. I'm going to ask you another pointed personal question. Obviously, well versed and been around. If you could send a message to yourself in your mid 20s, I don't want to date you. In your
I
mid,
could do that, no problem.
is that fair? Can I say if you were to
Yeah,
say a 20 mid 20-year-old Chris, what would you say
yeah.
to yourself right now?
Jeez. What would I say? Mid-20s. That's a good question. Give me a second. This is a
You want
really good
to
question. Good
let's
question.
come let's come back to that one.
Yeah, come back to that. That's a
Let's
good
get
question.
marinated
Come
on
back to
that
that.
one.
That was a good question.
All
Come
right.
back to that.
So, like we've talked about Waterloo being a potential pit stop based on the number of stops you've had along your journey, and you have so much stuff that you're going to do in the future. What are some of the future goals you have, like laid out for yourself?
I'm trying to retire, man. Straight up. I'm trying to get out of this game. And I tell people that, they laugh and they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, look, man, like X years how old I am, there's only certain level of grind that I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm grinding for a particular purpose. And for me, and we talk about pit stops, like this is a stop for me to build something for others to come and take over. I know those people that, they pass their best before date and it's like, yo, it's time for you to go.
Mm-hmm.
And like, no, let me hold on. For me, it's not that. Like I'm trying to dip, man. I'm trying to dip. I'm trying to, go to the continent. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get out of this game. I want to be a farmer. You know what I'm saying? Like just something different and enjoy life because, when you have, family members that, you lose suddenly, you realize like, yo, life ain't forever.
Right. Right.
You think you have this, this finite time in life, but it's not the case. So yeah, man, I'm trying to just live my life and dip.
The Barbados sounds like a nice place to set up.
Hey,
Shop
man,
on the
whenever you're ready, man. When the pandemic's over, I got a place for you. Holla,
Okay,
come at me.
my
Well,
passport
not
is good to
everybody,
go.
just Coach DA.
That's
Coach DA,
fine.
not everybody.
I don't have to bring a wife. Don't tell us.
Yeah, it's fine. Family, cool.
My passport is good to go.
Dope.
Definitely, retiring at an age where you can enjoy retirement. Some
Yeah,
people work
that's
till
it.
they're 75 and now they have 5 years left and they're trying to
That's
collect
it.
their pension. And they're passing it on to their kids. Well, no,
Yep.
you can build
Yep.
that foundation and make it sustainable for the next person to carry the torch, then you're setting yourself up for greatness. I feel like we're doing that now with the Black Lives
Exactly.
Matter movement. We're just taking the baton. And because of the
That's it.
civil rights movement, everybody that worked hard with the Panthers to get us to where we are now, we're just taking the baton and running with it till our time is up and we pass it off to the next generation. So
Yep.
I can appreciate that for sure. Coming down a home stretch here,
Yeah, man.
definitely want you to think about that message to your 20-year-old
Yeah, I
self.
got that now.
Obviously you've accomplished a lot in your life. You still got more work to do. What is something that you're most proud of right now to date?
I think I'm proud of a lot of things. I'm proud of, and this might be getting too personal, but I'll say it. I'm proud that after my father died, it wasn't a complete crumble.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen that with folks. And actually, a good friend of mine, his father actually died during his grad school as well. And at the moment, he gave me some advice, and I was like, yo, that hurt. He was like, you just got to keep on moving, and you don't want to hear that in that moment.
Right.
But in retrospect, that was some of the best advice I ever gotten. Right? It's like you just can't stop. You got to keep on moving because life doesn't stop for nobody. Banks don't stop, government don't stop, life don't stop for anybody. So I think that's one of the process, that it wasn't a crumble, that,
Mm.
not just me, but my family were able to just keep on moving. So yeah, I would definitely say that's one of the biggest things I'm proud of. People are like, oh, your book or your degree. I'm like, nah, man, like life kept on moving and we're good. Like we're
Sure.
good. That's what I'm happy
You
about,
lose
proud of.
somebody like a father. We always talk about the mother being the rock of the black family, but when you have the opportunity to have a father and have a bond with your biological father and know what he means and represents to the culture, when you lose him, that can be devastating, right?
It's a
So for
shift,
you to
man.
be where you are right now, despite that, and not knowing the information that you got from your friend will be applicable to you in a very similar setup, it's
Yep.
amazing. It's a
Yep.
blessing for sure.
Yep. It is a blessing. Seriously, it's a blessing, man, for real.
So you want to answer the question
25
about
me?
25
Yeah.
year old?
Because I was thinking about what was I doing at 25? So I would honestly have stayed in the continent longer. I was in Tanzania. I would have stayed there longer
Mm-hmm.
because for me, that was the moment when I really started to understand who I am beyond just trying to make money. Because I always had this focus about just making money. Go to law school, be a corporate lawyer, make money. Money, 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 money. That was it. And that was that moment I really started to understand. Again, I'm still trying to understand who I am. I'm no finished
Sure.
product,
It's a lifelong
but
journey.
it is. It's 100%. So for me, it was in that moment of really understanding me, understanding the people around me, understanding what's important for me. So I would have told myself, I was there for like 6 months. I would have been like, yo, stay for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Stay for 6 years, grow.
We'll take it one step further. What would you say to a teenage self?
Warm up and cool down properly.
Don't pull a hamstring, right?
No, I'm serious,
Take
man.
care of
Like
your body.
I remember that moment, man. I remember that moment. I ran. Sorry, this might be getting too much, but it was indoor meet. It's our first meet. We did a training camp in Barbados over the holidays, and it was an indoor meet. And I ran a 60, and I was like, yeah, I'm not feeling too right in my hamstring. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna still run the 2.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, that was it. So, in retrospect, my teenage me, I would have been like, listen to your body.
Yeah.
Warm up, cool down, because I never used to cool down back then. You used to be like, yeah,
Oh,
whatever.
what? What is it?
You put your stuff on and you roll, right?
Yeah.
It's like go home. It's like whatever. So yeah, warm up and cool down.
Take care of your body is key. Whether you're playing sports or not, you got to take care of your body. I have
100%.
a tragic track tale as well. I ran track in high school, and all I did was shot and disc in practice. Never prep for hurdles or any sort of sprints. We get to the meet, and we're short people, so they throw me into 100-meter hurdles. I somehow managed to get through that race, right? And then, Doc, it gets worse. Okay, they set me up for the ultimate failure. So without any formal training,
Don't tell me the
without
4.
any warm up, they put me in the 4x4.
Ooh.
So I'm the third leg, right?
Ooh.
No idea. So I get the stick, and my guy's like probably 60 meters in front of me. And I'm
Don't tell me.
athlete,
Don't
so
tell me.
I'm on a force.
No.
I'm going. Second turn, I close the gap. Third turn, that monkey jumped on my back. Oh, a little hamstring. Man, listen here. So never again touch the track ever since. No, thank you.
That's cruel though.
God bless you. Good
Because I
night.
used to run forests. That's cruel. You just can't be like, yo, we'll go run a 4 by
Yeah,
4 That's cruel.
set me up for failure. Never again.
If anybody, if you're watching this and you've never run a 4 before, just go outside and sprint as hard as you can and just keep on sprinting.
Mhm.
Like that's a 4.
That's what
That's
it
what
felt
it
like.
is.
This is the
Yeah, man.
biggest track. Am I running around the world right now? That's how it felt.
I shouldn't even laugh because I know that lactic, man. That
Yeah,
lactic kicks in your butt. You're like,
I'm in
nope,
the house.
that's it. I'm done.
Well, that was amazing, Doc. I
Yeah,
really
that's dope,
appreciate
man. I
your
appreciate it. This
time.
is fun, man. I appreciate
It
that.
is. It's been a great journey for me as one of the co-founders, and for you as one of the pros has been an influence on campus. Do you have any final words before we depart?
Honestly, man, like I've seen, we just met really in the summer now, but I see what you're doing, with the alliance. I see what you're doing in athletics, brother. Like, keep on rolling. I mean, we're all here to support everyone on this campus, and honestly, just keep doing you, man. Keep doing you with the alliance. You're rolling. Just keep it up. Seriously.
Thanks, Doc. And I'll be sure to funnel as many students as I can to your classes and look forward to working with you and have more communications like this moving forward and taking our Black celebration beyond February to, the rest of the calendar year.
I appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it. Coach DA, thank you.
Thank you, Doc.